Welcome to Dogwood Knits Podcast, Episode 1. My name is Vicki Ertl, and I'm the founder and maker behind Dogwood Knits project bags, as well as a couple knitting patterns that I have out there. I can be found on Instagram as dogwood.knits, and I can be found on Ravelry as Dogwood Knit. I do keep up my Ravelry page. There's also a group on there for this podcast. I will have the show notes both in the down bar and on Ravelry. Since this is the first episode, I thought I'd start out just by telling you a little bit about myself and sort of what brought me to knitting, and sort of how exciting it is to be part of the knitting community. Again, my name's Vicki, and I live in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I'm from. We recently moved back about a year ago. My husband's job had taken us away for about 8 years. We lived in Texas and South Carolina, and now we're back home with all of our family, and we're really excited about that. We love it here. We love being back in the Midwest, having all the seasons again, pretty much everything about it. What else? I have a son. He's 2.5, almost 2.5 years old. His name is Theo. He keeps us very busy. He's super fun. So yeah, that's sort of my daily life here. I do work out of the house, which I'll kind of touch on here in what brought me to knitting. And I work for a software company. Super exciting. So yeah, let's see. What brought me to knitting and the fiber community? My mom, sort of. She is a knitter herself. She does beautiful work. My grandmother, her mother, was also a knitter. It's probably a very common story. I had zero interest whatsoever. My mom tried for years to get me involved, to try and teach me. I think at one point I started a scarf and never actually did anything with it and gave it back to her. I just didn't have any interest. And fast forward to marrying my husband and him getting a job in Dallas, Texas. We moved there, and I sort of transitioned into working out of the house at that time as well. So I literally never left and didn't meet anybody. He traveled all the time, so I was alone in the house, and I just was sitting there one day thinking, like, I have got to find something to do, whether it be a hobby or just a way to get out and meet people. And just because my mom was part of all of these knit groups all of the time, that was sort of the first thing that popped into my mind. So I got online, researched, found a local knit shop in Plano, Texas, which unfortunately is no longer there, but they were fabulous. And I went to my beginner knit class. I think we knit, of course, like a little dishcloth or something like that. Jackie was my teacher. I'm still in touch with her. She's such a marvelous person. And I learned how to knit. And then I started joining knit groups, and then I started knitting all of the time. I had no idea that it was going to weave its way into my life the way it did, and has. And I'm so grateful for it, because not only do you get the relaxation and the craft and all of this gorgeous, gorgeous yarn, you get people, and pretty amazing people. My experience has been super positive, and I've met some of the most kind people ever through knitting. So I'm grateful to be part of the community. So enough of that, and if you have any questions, I guess reach out. I don't know. So there's that. Let me get into the content of the podcast, which is knitting. And I'm going to start with, I guess, things that I finished. I finished quite a bit over the winter, but I didn't want to go back too far. So I'm going to do my most two recent projects that I finished. I feel like 2's pretty decent considering one's a garment. But the first one I'm going to show you is actually mittens. It was cold out because we had a cold winter here in St. Louis this year. Quite a bit more snow than normal. So I was digging around. I had no gloves or mittens, which I'm like, really, I'm a knitter and I have no mittens, but okay. So I remedied that pretty quick. I just jumped into my stash, and I kind of had a vision of I want something that goes with everything. So I thought black or gray, because that tends to be what I wear. So I had the perfect yarn. So that was really exciting. Then I started kind of cruising around Ravelry, as we do, looking for a nice simple mitt pattern because I knew the yarn was busy enough. I didn't feel like I needed much of a pattern. So this is what happened. This is the mitts that ended up happening, and they are the Pearl Soho arched mitt. And they're pretty cool because there's a gusset in here, and I hope you can see it. But that means there's a specific right and a specific left, which I never really thought much about, but it actually makes the fit fantastic. So I'm really happy with how they fit. They're comfortable. They're plain, but cool because the yarn. And the yarn is, so the main body yarn here is Brooklyn Tweed in their Shelter, which is a worsted weight. And this is the Newsprint colorway. So it's a marled black and white, which is really cool. I love the look of it, and I have enough left over for a hat, so I think a matching hat's gonna happen at some point. But I'll go ahead and slide one on here. The cuff, I'll just comment on the cuff here too, and I'm hoping you can see the detail. It's a 1x1 twisted rib, which I'll talk about this because this is a modification I made to the pattern. But that is done in Quince & Co. Lark in their Crow colorway, which is black. But I'll go ahead and slide this on. The fit is fantastic, like I said. I mean, what better than being able to knit the exact length? I have fairly small hands. I'm not very tall, so I tend to have small feet and hands. I'm about 5'3". Mittens tend to always have like a ton of extra on top. So this is really nice that I don't have that problem. What else did I do here? So the cuff. We'll talk a little bit about that. On the pattern, it's just stockinette all the way until you do your gusset. I wanted something to grab at my wrist. I like to have a little bit of grab here on these types of things. So I decided to do a 1x1 twisted rib, which is one of my absolute favorite ribs. I just think it's so clean. It looks beautiful. And it worked out great for these mitts. So I did have to modify the cast on number, which I have all of these details in my Ravelry project, which I'll link to in the down bar. But I did have to cast on 40 stitches instead of the 39 that it called for, just so I could get the right number for the ribbing. That's mainly the only modification I made on these. Other than that, I knitted to the pattern. I knit with a US size 4. For the body, so it's a nice tight gauge, which is perfect for mitts because they're actually extremely warm. There's not a whole lot of wind coming through. And then I did a US size 3 for the cuff. So yeah, that was my, and these knit up so quick. I mean, I could make, and they have them in so many sizes. So I think my son will definitely get a pair because he likes to put these on, but at 2.5 years old, his hands aren't very big. So he does wear these around and calls them oven mitts, which I guess to him they are. But I'll probably knit a little tiny pair as well so he can lose them. But they won't take that long, so that's okay. Next thing was the bit larger project I've been working on. It was a test knit, so I put a couple little sneaker things on Instagram out there, but all in all, I've had to keep it pretty quiet. And it's a fingering weight sweater, so it did take some time, although it is cropped, which helps. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't think I'll get this uploaded today, but the pattern releases March 21st, which is tomorrow. Today's March 20th. So it releases March 21st. So it will probably be out by the time you see this. The original pattern was knit in a Labian Amy yarn, which I'm totally blanking now, but it's her new yarn that's also coming out tomorrow. And they're both being released at EYF, and that's Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I did not knit the pattern in the yarn because it's not available yet, at least not to me. And it's called the Little Yellow Sweater, or LYS. Mine is not yellow. The original is done in Yellow Brick Road, I believe is the colorway, and it's gorgeous. But I decided to go a little bit different of a route than that because I felt like it was a great holiday sweater. That time of year, you're tending to go out to dinner a lot, wearing dresses or dressing up a little bit more. Again, I work from home, so I mean, I put on my pajama leggings at night and then put on my nice ones in the morning. We won't talk about that right now. But I wanted something that, or I'm glad this works out perfectly for that. And the color really speaks to kind of holiday time for me. I tend to wear, again, black and gray. So any color to me is a little bit outside of my normal. So this is the sweater, and I'm hoping I can get a good look at that lace detail. If you notice too, down the front, it's just 2 lace panels with a little bobble in there, which this was actually my first bobble experience. Andrea put in a link, in the pattern to a really easy way to do bobbles. I don't know why I've never done them before, mainly because I knit pretty plain things that I tend to wear plain things. But it's adorable. They're cute little bobbles. They're perfect. They look beautiful in that, right in the lace motif. It's buttoned down the front, and then it has a nice, about 4-inch ribbing at the bottom, and it's a 1x1. And yeah, so it's a crew, so it's all the way up. There is a few short rows in the back, of course, to drop down the front. The sleeves are meant to be 3/4 sleeves. I'm trying to get a good representation. You can see this color's beautiful. This is knit in O-wool in their 2-ply fingering, which unfortunately is discontinued. It bloomed and got so soft after the blocking. And this color is just gorgeous. They do still have a fingering yarn that is beautiful. But this was the 2-ply that was discontinued. And I'm pretty sure I bought this when it was discontinued because I have so much in my stash. I must have just taken the haul when it was being discontinued. I don't remember that, but I feel like that had to be the case. I have about 17 or 18 buttons on here, so that was fun to put on. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. It hits so beautifully. It hits right at your natural high waist. And so that ribbing in there kind of grabs beautifully at that, and it looks so cute layered over dresses and other crop tops and, you know, things like that. High-waisted jeans with it look really cute. Super versatile. I find fingering weight sweaters to be slogs to knit. It's my opinion. No matter what, cropped or not, for me. But they are also my most worn. So to me, they're worth it. Maybe I run hot. I don't know. I feel like you get a lot more use out of that than you do, say, an Aran weight. At least in my climate. Now, maybe if I lived further north, I wouldn't feel that way. I was mentioning the sleeves are 3/4. I, again, am not very tall. So my arms are not very long. So these tend to hit me probably right about there. So I wouldn't say quite 3/4. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me one bit. I will say though, when I do knit this in the future, because I probably will in like a gray or something, so that I can wear it maybe outside of the holidays because I'm weird, I would say I would probably just lengthen them. Yeah, I would probably just make them full length. And I say that because it's very easy to just kind of pull your sleeve up and, you know, have a 3/4. So I think I probably would do full length on the sleeves in the future. But other than that, I didn't change anything in the pattern. No need to. It does fit, and this is very well probably my gauge. It does fit with a little bit more ease than I had expected. Good and bad, depending. If I wear button up under it or something like that, the little bit of ease is actually really nice. If I put it over sort of a tighter fitting dress at the top, not that I'm wearing tight dresses, but fit and flare. If I put it over that, the gauge or the ease is maybe an inch more than I would have probably wanted. And that again can very easily be remedied with the next one I knit. So yeah, that is the LYS sweater, or Little Yellow Sweater, by Andrea Mowry. And I'll try and put in some pictures of me actually wearing it. you probably don't want me to sit here and take off what I'm wearing and put this on. So you can kind of see where it hits and get a full image of that. I also have a project page on Ravelry that I'll link to in the down bar. So yeah, that is my feelings on that. Those are my 2 finished objects. I do have 2 things I'm currently working on. Actively working on. As a lot of people, I mean, at least a lot of knitters I know, I have a lot of projects in general on the needles. They're kind of like hidden in crevices of my house, and sometimes I pull them out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember that this existed, which is awful. So I'm trying. I watched Sandy by the Lakeside, or the Lakeside podcast, and she mentioned actively working on 3 things. A large project, garment probably, a small project. Look at, I'm doing really good because I already forgot. Obviously I'm committed to this. Maybe a shawl. We're gonna go with it. 3 things. So the 3 things that I currently have 2, I would say, that I'm actively doing. I am gonna cast something on very shortly. So I'll talk about the 2 that I currently am actively doing. And, oh, there's deer. We back up to the woods, and there is 6 deer in my backyard right now. Anyway, not that you probably care. So the first thing, sorry I dropped it. The first thing that I am going to show you is something that's half done. So I am a horrible sock knitter. Just gonna put it out there. Not that I can't knit a sock and I don't have the skill to, all of that's fine. I love them. They're cozy. They feel fantastic on my feet. They're beautiful. You can use such pretty yarns and mix them up. I really love the idea of socks. Knitting them is a whole different story for me. I tend to fly through the first sock because I'm so excited. I'm usually using really fun yarn. Just the whole thing. Then I cast on the second because I'm super excited and I stop. This pair in particular has been on the needles for probably over a year. Not probably, like for sure, over a year. So there's that. Nothing to say about the yarn. It's gorgeous. The pattern is wonderful. It's the Hermione Everyday Sock. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I'm sure you probably have heard of it or seen it or something. It's really popular. I'll show you the sock here. I do have it on my Twig and Horn blocker, sock blockers, which I love. They're the perfect size for me. They come in a couple sizes, I think, and this is the small, maybe? Not positive, but I have small feet, so these actually work beautifully. Here is my finished one, and I love it. I love everything about it. This beautiful texture here. It's super easy to remember. So once you kind of get your first 2 rounds here, you've got it. It's a 1x1 rib at the top. This is a modified partridge heel. It's a heel flap and gusset, which is actually my favorite type of heel. Fits me beautifully. And just a normal decreased toe here. The yarn on these, let's talk about the real showstopper, is gorgeous. This main color here you're seeing is from Woolberry Fiber Co. And this is her If I Only Had a Brain colorway. It is unbelievable. It's actually showing up really true to color right now. There's green in there, some mauve, sort of this creamy toe. I mean, it is unbelievable. I couldn't be happier. I believe it's in her simple sock. The one toe, because I don't have another toe yet. And the cuff is in Malabrigo in the Turner colorway in their sock yarn. They pair beautifully. The green picks up this green perfectly. And if you can kind of see, it's not a solid green. There's some variation in there, which is beautiful. They fit great. Love them. Huge Harry Potter fan, so you got me. If you name it something that is related to Harry Potter, I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to buy it if it's yarn. So, yeah, there's that. Smart marketing. So, yeah, so it's Hermione's Everyday Sock and Woolberry Fiber Co. and Malabrigo. So there's the finished one. This went by super quick. The next one, on the other hand, got casted on immediately. Let me take this needle out of here. But has been like in this current state for maybe, I'm gonna say, a year and a half. It's been some time. So everything looks a lot like what we've got on the blocker there. It's showing a little brown, but it's a little more green than that. I'm done here. So it's just a matter of turning the heel at this point. Oh, I can't not comment on this. This here, oh, I don't know if it's gonna focus, but that is a mandrake. That's from Sucre Miniatures, and it was part of the Yarn and Charm Club from a homespun house, which she makes awesome Harry Potter yarn. Her colors are spot on, and she does Harry Potter clubs all the time. So that was I think it was a present for my husband. I got 3 months of it. It was so exciting. But this was one of them. She partners with Sucre, and you have the option. You don't have to get the charm if you don't want it, but you do have the option to do the charm, and they're specific to the yarn club. So you can't get these charms unless you're in the yarn club. So yeah, that's what's hanging there. So I've been actively working on this. This has been my sock. Of course, I'm at the part where I need to turn the heel and do the gusset. So things have slowed down again, but I really want to get this off the needles before next winter, so I can actually wear them. But yeah, lovely pattern, super easy. It's free on Ravelry, like I said. Yeah, so that's my project that I'm currently working on. And then I'm working on a big one. Oh, I should tell you this. This is in my Dogwood knits bag. So this is the small version of the bag I make. This is the chestnut colorway, and it's a linen blend. The whole exterior is a linen blend. The interior is a French ticking, and it's a mattress ticking, so it's actually really soft, which I love. And then a little YKK zipper on it. So this is the small version in the chestnut colorway. And then this was just, which I'm not sure if I'm going to sell these or not, but it matches the bag. It has a canvas inside. Let me get that needle out of there. It has a canvas inside and the snaps. So it's just a DPN holder. Again, I haven't sold these. I've only made them for myself and my mom. So thinking about putting them in the shop. Not sure yet. But they are a good way to use up some smaller pieces of fabric that are left over. Okay, the next project. So this one has a little story behind it. More so than I've been working on it for 5 billion years. This one I knitted once, all the way to it's a cardigan. And I knitted it all the way, broke for the sleeves, and then decided it wasn't what I wanted. And it wasn't that I didn't like the pattern. I love the pattern. Everything about it I loved. Except I tend to I'm pretty monochromatic. So I tend to stick to one color. It's not super often that I even wear color work stuff. And by color work, I mean maybe yoked color. Because I don't know that I would wear a full color work thing. I'm pretty plain. Now I knit stuff like this. I knit fancy stuff. I just don't wear it. So those are the things I knit and either gift to people or my mom takes or something like that. 'Cause she loves bright colors, fancy stuff. She's on it. She loves that stuff. I tend to love it but not wear it. So let's talk about this project. This is the Comfort Fade Cardi from Andrea Mowry. And I'll show you a picture here. I mean, so cool and cozy. It's an open front cardigan with this nice shawl collar. Absolutely love it. So when this came out, I got super excited. And I bought a kit from the ladies at Nice and Knit, which if you haven't looked at their yarn or bought their yarn or used their yarn, couldn't suggest it more. It is beautiful. Their colors are gorgeous. The yarn feels fantastic. So I bought a kit. Because I was going to have my first faded piece. And I knitted, like I said, all the way past the sleeve separation. And there was nothing wrong with the pattern, nothing wrong with the yarn. I looked at it and I thought to myself, I'm doing it again, because I do it all the time. You're never gonna wear this. You might wear it here and there, but for an open front cardigan that you should easily be able to throw on with everything and wear all the time, there's no way you're gonna wear these colors. So I thought about it for a little while and did what my mother hates most, and I pulled it out. And I'll talk about that in a minute, how I tend to do that. So I pulled it out, and I wasn't really sure what I was gonna do. I knew I wanted this sweater, and I don't know why it never came to my mind, but I was watching a podcast of Nice and Knit, so the same people I had bought the kit from, and one of the sisters, because they're sisters, said, I'm gonna knit one in one color. And I thought, ugh, duh, why did I not think of that? It's perfect, it's everything I want in a cardigan, a cozy throw-on cardigan, minus the color. Why did I not think to just knit it in one color? So as I do with stuff I pull out, I just sort of put it in timeout. I pulled it out, I said, okay, that's a fantastic idea, and I'm gonna do that one day. But right now, mentally, I can't just cast this thing on again. I just can't do it. So I just took it out. I have very good plans for that yarn. And I decided I'm gonna wait and decide what color I wanna do it in. Gray, of course, is the first thing that came to my mind, as it's easier to knit with. But then I was thinking, if I really wanna get all the use out of this thing, I'm gonna do it in black. And I hate knitting with black. It's hard to see. I can't knit at night. No matter how many lights I have on me, it doesn't matter. So there was that. So what I decided is I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait, and if something strikes me, I'll do it. So it finally did. So that was a really long story to get to tell you and show you what I'm currently doing. So I opted to go with black. And I don't know if you can see the subtleties of this. This is a hand-dyed yarn. It's Madeline Tosh Twist DK in Onyx. Super springy DK, really cozy. Because it's hand-dyed, there's a little variation, so it's not just a flat black, which I kind of like. It almost makes it look like a blacky charcoal color when knitted up. I'm alternating skeins, so I have two. I'm being good. I don't usually do this. I know I should, but I don't. But with this and how dark this color is, I feel like it would have really shown. I have made it past the point I was before, so that always feels good. I'm hoping that this shows up. You'll see this is the right side, which is actually the wrong side, if that doesn't confuse you. And this raglan here with like sort of an exposed seam, I guess, feel to it. I love it, love it. I think it's such a cute feature to the pattern. Like I said, let me take this off because I think it's fading into my other black cardigan. And so here it is. Let me get it here. Okay. So like I said, I'm 5 inches? No, 4 inches below the, if I can get this thing, it's all crumpled up on here. You can kind of see the little variegation in the yarn, which again, I love. It just adds a little bit of interest. It looks tiny, but I know that's because I'm gonna pick up a bazillion stitches and make a big collar and a band in the front. So it'll be fine. I'm not worried about the fit. I do have a progress keeper on here, which I think is adorable, and I'm so bad. I'll have to put it in the down bar. I cannot remember who I bought it from. I want to say Sucre, but I'm not positive. It is adorable. It's an eclipse cupcake, because why not, right? So it's an eclipse with the little star. It's not showing very well, but it's a cupcake, a chocolate cupcake. Totally gonna ramble right now, but I bought this because at the time of the last total eclipse, we were living in Charleston, South Carolina, and that was one of the places that it was gonna be like the full eclipse. So you were gonna get that full effect. So of course, like everybody took off work, everything. Sorry, I don't know. My camera automatically turned off. So I don't know where it went. But at the time of the total eclipse, we were living in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was in the direct path. So you were gonna get kind of that full effect of the total eclipse. And I want to say the last total eclipse, I was little. I feel like I don't even remember, but I feel like I was little. Anyway, I digress even more. So Charleston like shut down. It was so cool. There was watch parties everywhere. Everyone was off work. We lived in a really cool neighborhood that we were sort of really close with everybody, which was awesome. So we were all outside. We had all our kids outside. We all have our glasses, and we watched it, and it was super cool. And it was a really good memory of Charleston. We did love it there. And of course, I mean, my luck, our luck, as soon as like the moon went right in front of the sun, the clouds like rolled in. Oh God. Yeah, it's bound to happen. But we got to see most of it. We got the whole effect of it. It went pitch dark. The shadows were super cool. Not a podcast about eclipses, but very cool. Anyway, so this was sort of something I bought as a little reminder of that. So yeah, I'm in Stockinette Island. I probably will be here for a while. I think I have 12 inches or so to go. So this has been great. I take it, I go to a workout class in the morning, and I'm always there early because I drop my son off at school and then go there, and I'm there like an hour early. Not quite, 45 minutes maybe. So that's a great knitting time for this, and since it's totally mindless at this point, that's what I've been doing with it. So hopefully I'll make good progress on it. I am gonna change a couple things about the pattern. And once I get to those points, of course I'll show you, but I'm gonna bring up the picture to help. If you notice on the cuffs here, it is just a knit stitch. So it's just knitted there to match the collar, I'm sure. And then down on the bottom here, it's a 2x2 rib. I am gonna change the hem to a 1x1 twisted rib. And I'm gonna change the cuff also to a 1x1 twisted rib to match. I'm gonna do that not because I don't think it's adorable the way it is, because it is. And she's probably better at designing than I am, so you should probably listen to what she says. But, and Andrea's who I'm talking about here, but for me, the way I wear stuff, I tend to like, kind of like with my mittens, I like to have a bit of a tighter cuff. So I'm gonna try that out. Now, obviously, if I do it and it's awful, I'll just take it out and do what she says. But I think I'm gonna like it with that rib. And I love twisted rib. I don't love knitting it. It's a little bit tedious, but the outcome of it to me is so clean and nice. So that is the only modification I'm planning on making on this. Otherwise, it's gonna be the pattern. All right, this is in a new acquisition. I just got this bag and I'm obsessed. Jenna Rose. She can be found on Etsy, and I believe she has her own website as well, and I'll put links to that in the down bar. But this is her, I'm gonna call it just the moon pouch, because I think that's what it's called. But it has moons. And it has owls, which my son's obsessed with. So every time I have this bag out, he loves it. So she screen prints these herself. I believe it's a linen blend. If not, it's a canvas type. Metal zipper on it, just a basic pouch. This is her large pouch. Nice interior in there. Love it. Absolutely love it. I just recently got it. And it's perfect for this bag with my Eclipse Progress Keeper. Does anybody else do that? I'm asking you questions and you can't really answer, but does anyone else try to like match all of their stuff like that? Because I do it all the time. Like the Hermione Everyday Sock had to have a Harry Potter Progress Keeper on it. What would the other option even be? Anyway, so those are my two projects that I'm currently working on. There's soon to be a third. And the third is probably going to upset my mom, so I hope she doesn't watch this. Little backstory on that. She can't stand when I tear out projects. Mainly because, and it's never like I hate the pattern or I don't like the yarn. I just get tired of doing it. And instead of it sitting there and stressing me out that it's sitting there, just take it out. And I wrap up the yarn and I use it at a later date. About once a year, I go through all my projects and just tear out what I know I'm not going to finish. This gives my mom severe anxiety. She can't. Like, she was here one night and I was going through it and she was just yelling. She's like, no, no, no. So currently she's finishing a shawl for me that I started, which when she's done, I'll show you. But I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe I just start a bunch of stuff and then hand it off to her, but that doesn't seem nice. I don't know. She's a good knitter though. But right now she's finishing something for me, but I am going to cast on another shawl. And this sort of ties into my future knits as well as my stash enhancement. Actually, all of my stash enhancement ties into that. So I guess I'll start with that. I got two beauties in the mail recently. Here it is. Well, there's two of them. This is Voolenvine. This is her single ply. I mean, this color. And it's actually showing really true to color right now, which I'm really glad because it's gorgeous. If it would focus. So here's the other skein. And again, this is her single ply. And this is I Am No Bird. She is currently knitting a shawl on this. If you haven't heard of Voolenvine or whatever, if you haven't heard of her, I'm sorry, because she's lovely. But she has a podcast, and her podcast is awesome. I believe she does it weekly, which is great. She's also a yarn dyer and a photographer. So pretty much she does everything, and she sews beautiful as well. But her podcast is awesome. If you haven't watched it, you should. If you do watch it, so do I. But her colors are just gorgeous. And this one in particular, I'm totally taken with. She is knitting a Birds of a Feather shawl with this, is what I also plan to do with this. When I saw hers, I said, that's the color. Birds of a Feather has been in my queue for a long time. I believe it initially came out in a Laine magazine, or Laine. I think it's Laine is the real, but Laine works too. I think we all know, and I'll link to, I'm not exactly sure which one, so I'll link to that. But it is a gorgeous shawl that has sections of fingering, and I'll try and put a picture in here, but it has sections of fingering and then sections of mohair. And they just play beautifully together. They really do. There's little simple lace. It is just gorgeous. Sorry, I did not bring a picture. But this is what I plan to do with that. I saw hers and knew that that was it. It's been in my queue for ages, that pattern. And I've just been waiting for the right color and the right yarn. And I believe this is it. And that brings me to the second part, is I said I need a beautiful mohair to go with this. Voolenvine did not have any in her last shop update, which is where I got this, which is also funny because I got this in her last shop update, or I saw her knitting it and said, okay, need that. Well, then she sends out an email, and of course this yarn's in the shop update, and I'm like, well, I'm putting that in my calendar because that's happening. So I did that. Her yarn sells out super quick. Got lucky, got it. And then all of a sudden, everywhere I looked, people were knitting with this color of I Am No Bird. So I'm like, okay, this is totally meant to be. But then my next step was, okay, what mohair? She did not have mohair in her shop update. And I didn't mind that. That's fine. I just needed to find the right color. I felt like white was going to be too stark against this. The gray that I had in my stash is too cool. It's too cool of a gray, I felt like. So I kind of, started looking around and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I came across another yarn of another podcaster I watch, which is Adelaide Cottage. And her podcast is great. It's calming. She seems so sweet. Her projects are gorgeous. So I highly recommend Adelaide Cottage. But her mohair was the answer to all of my prayers. And I'm hoping you can pick up sort of these taupies that just play so perfect with this I Am No Bird. I mean, this couldn't have worked out better for me. I feel like this is going to be absolutely gorgeous. Her mohair is, it's a creamy. I mean, there's definitely cream, but there's these darker taupes that just really pick up this color on the sides here. So this is my plan. This is, I should comment here, this is Breezy Mohair, and the colorway is Simplicity. And it is simply beautiful. Anyway, I might cut that out. So yeah, those were my 2 stash acquisitions, and they sort of played right into my future knitting as well, which that probably won't always happen. But yeah, there's other stash acquisitions because I have a semi problem. But I thought I would start with my most recent, to not bore you all to death. So yes, the next thing that is on my to knit list, or in my queue, is the No Frills Sweater by Petite Knits. Again, super popular. It is if you haven't heard of it, it's a simple raglan with quite a bit of ease in it, actually. And it's knit with a strand of mohair and a strand of fingering together. So kind of gives it that beautiful halo. I'm assuming it's going to be so warm and perfect. And an easy knit from what it looks like. Just something basic, because again, that's what I tend to wear. I, again, knit fancier stuff with lace and all of that, and I don't tend to wear it, which is pretty sad. But I was, again, sort of lying in wait to find the right color, first off, and the right yarns and what I wanted from it. I've seen it knit in speckled yarns. I don't tend to wear speckles as garments. Speckled yarn to me, for me anyway, is I tend to wear it more as accessories, hats, things like that. Going back to sort of my plainness. But I knew that I didn't want just something completely plain. I knew I wanted it to be gray. I mean, this was hands down going to be a gray sweater, and a light gray. But I didn't just want something plain light gray. So I didn't quite know what I wanted, really. And I was perusing Ravelry, as one does, and I came across somebody's no frill that they had done in Knit Picks Stroll Tweed, held with a mohair. And I thought to myself, that is perfect. And I had just splurged on a bunch of yarn that I probably shouldn't have splurged on, but did anyway because it's beautiful. And it was sort of right in my budget, in my price range for what I was looking for. Not to mention, I mean, I don't even know if that's true, because mohair that I ended up getting was not inexpensive. So pretty much I splurged on the mohair and had to dial it back on the fingering. Didn't have anything in my stash that was right. So anyway, so I got on Knit Pick site and I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So I got, here it is. Let me look here. So it's their Stroll Tweed in Down Heather. And it couldn't be more perfect for what I want. For the effect I want. I love these tweed in here. They're brown and cream and taupey, with this nice soft gray. And again, it's Knit Pick Stroll Tweed. And I mean, I'm not positive, but I want to say this was like a few bucks per skein. What? That's awesome. And it feels beautiful. All the stuff I read about it. I have knitted in the regular Stroll for a pair of socks. I haven't actually knitted a garment. But I love it. It's perfect. So, and it's exactly the color I wanted. For the mohair, like I said, I splurged a bit. I got Shibui Silk Cloud in the ash colorway. So you can see it's super light, soft gray, which is going to play beautifully with this. It'll sort of just get lost, which is what I was hoping to do. Just get lost in there. They match almost perfectly. I got this at our local yarn shop called Notorious, which is fantastic. They have beautiful yarn and they're so sweet. But I got, this is 60% kid mohair, 40% silk, and 330 yards a skein. So I think this is going to be a beautiful no frills, and I'm super excited about the tweed. I don't have a tweed sweater. I'm lying. I do have a tweed sweater. I have a Brooklyn tweed. 2 of them. Anyway, ignore that. So that's the no frills. So that is future knitting as well. And then I have one last one for future knitting, and that is, I kind of, again, just came across it as I was on the Knit Pick site getting the yarn for the no frills. Just started perusing around, and I found their gloss fingering, which is, there's the tag, gloss fingering, 70% merino, 30% silk. I had been on the search for something like that, something with silk in it, something that was going to be very drapey. And why I was on the search for it was for the Tegna. I'm really bad at pronouncing things. It's by Boylan Knitworks, Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks. It's shorter sleeved, and I plan to make it short sleeve. I think it kind of has a sleeve that comes to about here. I feel like that's going to hit me a little weird, so I'm going to go short sleeve with it. It's a little cropped, and it has lace at the bottom, and I'll put in a picture here of it, but it's beautiful. And it's been one of those, I actually started it and tore it out, because that's my MO, in a 100% linen by Shibui, and I cannot remember the actual name of the yarn. It just didn't play right. I didn't like, the color was a little bit not in my wheelhouse. It's a beautiful color. It was forage. It was gorgeous, but just not something I see myself wearing a lot. And I didn't quite like the way the lace looked in it, so I took it out. I had gotten probably through all the lace and then decided to take it out. And so I knew, though, that I was on the search for something that had drape, but I didn't want to go the linen route. But I want to be able to wear this in warmer temperatures. So anyway, I found this gloss, and I think it was $6.99 a skein, and I think I needed 4. So to me, that's a great budget yarn for a sweater. And here it is, and this color blew me away. It was exactly, I was on the search for the perfect like mauve, smoky mauve. It's not showing quite as mauvey as it truly is. There's a little more purple to it than when it's showing close, though. I mean, this is a very close representation. And the mix of the silk and the merino, this is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see how it knits up. It's perfect color. The color is called Velveteen, which I don't know if you can see that, but it's called Velveteen. And I think it's going to be great. I think this is exactly what I was looking for, and at a great price. I tend to buy high dollar yarns. I'm trying to mix up my repertoire. There's times that I can't afford it. Simple as that. I mean, some of these sweaters, I don't know what the sweater is. I can't remember, and I'm not going to say anyway. But I mean, the yarn, the suggested yarn for it was, for my size, was almost $500. I can't do that. Nor do I can't. I can't consciously say like, yes, I'm going to do that. And I've, knit expensive sweaters as well, and it's a treat, and it's wonderful, but for how much I like to knit and how often I like to make garments, it's not always reasonable. As much as I like to support independent dyers and all that, and I do. let's just be honest here, I do. Maybe one day I'll show you my stash closet, but probably not, because I don't tend to show people. But yeah, so that is about it. That's my plans. I don't know when I'm gonna cast those on. I'm truly trying to, I need to finish that sock before I cast anything else on. Just for my mental whatever, because it's nuts that I haven't done that yet, or finished it yet. And then I'll probably cast on that bird's feather, because I'm really excited about that. I think the yarn's gorgeous, and I'm ready to do a shawl maybe. I've been doing garments a lot lately. But yeah, if you've made it this far, thank you. I mean, that's great. And I hope you liked the podcast. And if you do, please click below, like and subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to commit to monthly. That's what I've committed to myself, is monthly. I'm going to try and do bi-weekly, So every other week, as life allows. You know, things can get crazy, and it's hard to find time where I'm alone in the house and able to do it. Luckily, I already had filmed this whole entire thing, but the lighting was awful. So I really hope the lighting was better this time. And you were able to see what I was showing. It was like black in the other. Everything looked black. So anyway, thank you, and I hope to see you back soon.